Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to go over the Capital One 360 checking account and also the Capital One 360 performance savings account. The reason being is because I physically use them for my personal finances. And so I want to go ahead and tell you guys why I really like having all my money with them, even though a lot of people tend to say you should also diversify your money and not have all your eggs in one basket. But I'm gonna go over why I'm doing this because Capital One provides a lot of features that kind of benefits one another when you have them all together. And if you're new to the channel, my name's Andy. I'm a senior programmer analyst that loves to talk about personal finances. Just hit me one day, why not use my personal skills on my day-to-day job and apply them to my day-to-day life at home and document it on YouTube. So in this channel, we like to talk about budgeting, credit cards, and financial tools that can possibly help you guys out on your personal finances. But enough of that, let's go ahead and get started with the video. So starting off, I wanna go over the Capital One 360 Performance Savings Account. The reason being is because it's considered a high yield savings account. And for those that don't know what a high yield savings account is basically the bank is giving you money for leaving them your personal money with them. And so how does that work? So basically as of now, Capital One is offering 3.5% interest on your actual savings account. So let's say, for example, you have $10,000 in that account, you multiply that times 3.5% and you divide that by 12, which would mean the bank will give you at least $29 roughly. And that is basically compounding interest. So now that money gets added and then the next month you will get that whole percentage with what you made plus whatever that $29 is towards your account. So for example, you're gonna be having $10,029 in your account, then you do the same math. So to me, that was just a no-brainer because my local credit union that I had was basically not even giving me close to what Capital One is giving me. So which led me to the point of just opening up a Capital One savings account because there's actually no minimums or no fees when opening up the account, which is great because that means you don't have to physically have a checking account. So if you don't want to do the extra step to where you have to transfer the money from your local credit union or any other bank that you have and put it towards a savings account, you can do that without having a checking account with Capital One. That's actually a keynote we need to highlight there is because there's no fees, no minimums. Usually with other banks, they require you to have a minimum of at least $500 to $1,000 within that bank account to where they don't charge you fees. So it's great to know that Capital One does not do this to you, but do keep in mind when you do open up a Capital One savings account, you can actually put $0 down, but it does let you know that if you don't deposit any money within a certain amount of time frame, they will then close your account, which is not that hard or big of a deal to do because you can just transfer 20 bucks in there and then you actually save your account from being actually expired, I guess you can say at this point. Also with Capital One, they allow you to open multiple savings accounts. And on the website, it states that it takes around 5 to 10 minutes to open up a savings account, which I would agree with them. Because once you open the first savings account, you can actually hit the add additional savings account and that already has all your information on there. You can just hit next, 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 and then it literally just opens up right then and there. Now, I did have a couple issues that one time I tried to open 2 savings accounts on the same day. They did require me to call because they wanted to make sure it was me creating these accounts, which is just a safety feature on the Capital One's end. As for another feature that Capital One has is that they have an auto savings feature. So what this auto savings feature does, it allows you to actually set up recurring transfers or you can set up paycheck percentages. Now for me personally, I use the paycheck percentages because I like to have the 10% to go to one specific account, 10% to go to another account, and then 10% to go to my third account, which is basically my emergency fund, my future business, and my personal future home that I plan on getting in the future, obviously. But that feature would only work if you have a checking account set up with them. So this wouldn't work if you don't have a checking account with Capital One. But with the recurring transfers, if you have an external bank account linked, you can actually schedule it to pull from that specific account. But do keep in mind that since it is going to be an external bank, if you do plan on doing the transfers on Friday, it will take up to 2 to 3 business days because it would have to then transfer on Monday or Tuesday because ACH doesn't happen within the weekends, which hence why I have a Capital One checking account with them because I like to be able to transfer my money instantly. And with Capital One, they allow you to have the transfers from your checking account to your savings account instantly, even if it's on the weekend, which me, in my opinion, I value a lot to have access to my money. Now, as for the Capital One checking account, there is no minimums, no fees, and no overdraft fees. Yes, so they do have this option available of no overdraft fees, but try to remember not to always try to overdraft from your account because it kind of makes you look like a bad customer when using this feature. Now for the overdraft options that Capital One gives you, they're gonna be auto decline, free transfer, no fee overdraft. Now for me personally, I use the free transfer. So basically what this option does, it'll tell you to link what specific emergency account or other checking account that you have on specifically your Capital One. Then it will just pull that money out. Let's say if you go out to pay for something and you only have $10 in your checking account and it's 20 bucks, it'll just automatically pull from that account. So that's the option I have. I never had issues with it, and I never actually had to do an overdraft, but I just have it on there for a safety precaution for myself. Now, if you do plan on going with the Capital One 360 checking account, they also have a 2-day early pay. And if, in my opinion, don't really try to depend on this feature, even though it's awesome to have, so you get to have access to your money earlier. Always try to actually do it to where it's like you're still getting paid on the same day, because for many people out there that depend on this, then they actually get behind on bills, because sometimes this feature does not always work, meaning that it's actually happened to me that I actually got paid a day before my actual payday. So just do keep in mind, if you do plan on getting the 360 checking account, that this feature is not always guaranteed, and also state that as well when you were signing up. Now with Capital One, they are considered a hybrid bank, meaning they do have physical locations and they also do a lot of online banking. And that's one of the reasons why it stood out to me, because I actually like to go into the bank to actually physically like pull out money, and especially if it's a large sum. So for example, if you don't live in an area that a actual branch is located near you, then it's kind of like going more only online. And do keep in mind that the reason why they do this with lower brick and mortar banks, this allows them to have the high yield savings accounts, meaning that they give you a higher percentage. Now, if you're okay with doing online only banking, then they do also offer 70,000 ATMs that are fee free, so you can withdraw money. And those can be located like literally on the app itself. It gives you a map to where you can look up like a Walgreens, a CVS, and here in Texas, I actually have access to 7-Elevens. Don't know if it's available everywhere else, but you can go to 7-Eleven, pull out money, and I've actually done this too at a CVS. No, I take that back. I've done it at a Walgreens to check it out to see how it works. And it just works like a regular ATM, as if you're at the physical location. Now, another thing that I tried out is actually for people who are not like having a physical branch, how is it with depositing? Now with depositing is pretty awesome, because you can actually deposit money physically at a CVS or Walgreens. And yes, CVS or Walgreens, and it's completely free. There's no additional charge, but there is a limit. The limit is $1,500 per day, and it's also $5,000 per month. So obviously you probably have to set a limit on there, because I'm thinking that the CVS or Walgreens, they probably take a little fee to allow this feature to be free for us. So that is an option out there if you do plan on actually depositing and you don't have a physical location near you. Now also with the Capital One 360 checking account, what really stood out to me was the Zelle option. Now with my local credit union, they do have Zelle, but there are so many limits that I can do. But with Capital One, they actually allow you to actually set up instantly on there. So as soon as you open up a Capital One checking account, you have instant access to Zelle. Yes, so usually with other companies, or not companies, but branches or banks, they require you to wait a couple of days, at least from my experience. So with Capital One, they just told me, okay, just enter your number or email at that case of whichever one you want to use, and it automatically gave me access to Zelle instantly. Now, if you're wondering about the Zelle limits and what they are, it's actually $3,000 per day and up to $12,500 per month. So to me, that's a great amount of money to actually transfer over Zelle. With my local credit union, I was only able to spend over $1,000. So for people who are out there trying to pay rent over Zelle, and it's not over $3,000, if you're paying over $3,000, then you must be well off paying that over that amount. But for people other than them that are paying a lot less, this feature would be really great for you if you have a rent to pay, or you just want to have big amounts of money to transfer to people that you know. Now, the reason why I ended up moving my money completely with them is simply because of the fact I want to have my money all in one place. And also I want to take advantage of the AutoSave feature, which is the paycheck percentage feature, because every time I get paid, it automatically gets divided in my accounts. And how that looks within the ecosystem is basically they'll send you an email telling you the 10%, which is the actual amount. So they actually send you the dollar amount of what's going to be transferred, and it happens the next business day. But the next business day, literally, like they just transfer it within the morning. I think it was like, at like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. that they did it. And that's that, and I can transfer the money, and you can also cancel it. So let's say the day of you get paid, you can actually cancel it, and it'll let you know on the emails as well. This is the amount, it's gonna be processed the next day. You can go on the app and just actually cancel that transfer if you don't feel comfortable transferring that specific amount for that paycheck. So that is pretty cool to have. It doesn't happen instantly, just in case you have to pay bills. So it does let you know ahead of time before they do that actual full process. Now, as for cons of what I experienced with Capital One is that they did have an outage. And that outage actually prevented me from getting my paycheck for like almost a week. And I think Capital One should have done better to actually let us know what the issue was, because I actually had to call, and that wait line was so long just simply because of the fact that no one knew what was going on. They sent an email maybe 2-3 days out later that stating that, oh, we have an outage with our third-party company. and this is what's holding up all ACH or direct deposits. So that is a big issue that I had, is that, man, I wish they would have told us what was going on rather than freaking out, because I went to my actual job and made me look kind of like a dummy, saying like, hey, I didn't get my direct deposit. And they're like, no, like, we sent it. I think that's where like the miscommunication comes in. And so I wish they would have let me know, instead of me actually going to my business office and telling them what was going on. And also, I know Capital One went through a big lawsuit stating that they didn't let customers know about their performance savings account not being upgraded to the high yield account. So before Capital One did the high yield savings accounts, they actually had regular savings accounts, which had a lower APY. So that lower APY, I think it was maybe 0.10 or 0.01% compared to, at the time, was 3.50%. So you can see how customers would be kind of upset with Capital One not automatically upgrading that for them, even though the employees know what type of account that they have. But yes, that is a bad look on Capital One, and I know that a lot of people would probably move away from them. I thought about actually moving away from them and trying out the SoFi Bank, because I see a lot of people talk about SoFi. But with SoFi, there are many, many rules you have to follow and hoops that you jump through just to get that high APY. And so if you want something simple, something straightforward, no minimums, no like requirements, no catches to have an account, then I would say this is the best bank to go with, just simply because of the fact that it's really easy to maintain, and this app is specifically only banking. And then the visuals on it is straightforward. There's no like so many stuff going on. It's really just an actual bank to let you know how much money you have in the bank account. But in my opinion, I think this is a great bank to have, especially if you're trying to get into the online space of things, especially because some branches are available in certain states. So if you're still a person that's really heavy into going to the actual bank itself, this is a good option to step to, so you can have both options of the feeling of having an online and a actual physical location if you live in those states. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave it off with that. And as always, let's try to keep things simple, and I'll see you on the next one.